We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. All right, welcome back to Deal Junkies. We're in the studio today with none other than Mike Nuss back in the house. Mike was off doing something, playing golf.
Where were you?
Just the whole holidays and birthdays and playing golf.
Oh, you're saying your family is more important than recording this podcast, Mike?
Yeah, I usually hibernate with my family.
Get your priorities straight.
You're wearing some dirty hiking boots right now.
I know.
I don't
The
know
dog
what you've
park
been,
has a high priority in my life.
He's been hiking
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Trevor's in the studio today, and we have a special guest with us today, none other than Alex Ferry. Alex is a great friend of ours. He is the co-founder of the SRE Meetup, Salem's largest real estate investor meetup. So come out and visit us on the first Wednesday at Sassy Onion. If you're anywhere within 3 hours, we have people that drive 4 or 5 hours to come to your meetup. I think it's normally, by the way, I'll give you props. It's like 75 to 100 people coming every month now.
Yep. There's going to be way more coming. We got an extra $400 ad budget.
Yeah.
And hey, we have people for this next one flying across the nation to come visit.
To come to the SRE.
They're flying from East Coast to come to the event.
Okay, so Alex is Trevor's partner in crime running this investor meetup. They do a great job. And Alex is one of our preferred insurance agents through State Farm. He's the guy that drives the red Jeeps. You see the red Jeeps everywhere. That's Alex Ferry. He's your dad's a State Farm agent too. How's that work? You're both right. State Farm, red Jeep. Who's your agent? So if you see a red Jeep, it says, "Who's your agent?"
It's someone.
It's someone on your team.
Yes.
So Alex has done a great job building his business. Very impressive young man. He's 31 years old. He owns a real estate portfolio. We don't know what it's worth, but we're estimating, do we say almost over $4 million?
Oh,
maybe more.
Yeah, it's way over that. Dude, he just bought a freaking single deal that was like $1 million.
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying Alex is a baller. He's a 31-year-old baller. Sells insurance. He helps a lot of our investor clients with their insurance needs. So we have a lot of questions for you, Alex. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Love the podcast.
So we always use Alex as an example in the classes we teach because he did his first 5 deals. He's bought way more after that, but his first 5 he was house hacking, and then he was able to retire his wife just off the cash flow of those. So he was like, you built like $1 million equity off your first 5 deals in cash flow.
So your wife didn't have to work anymore. She could stay home with
stay at home mom. Yeah.
Yep. Once we had a kiddo, that was the goal.
Nice work.
So that's pretty cool. And it only took him like $60,000 or $80,000 to do it.
And you're buying mostly like houses or Plex, or what are you into?
I like the single family home style. So I have bought like multifamily, but it's homes that are all separate on a lot.
All right. Well, let's not get into that just yet.
All right. We'll save it.
Before we start, I got to ask an insurance question.
Oh, boy.
I was sitting with Paul Curley at lunch yesterday, and he asked me, what do you think is going to happen to our insurance rates now that LA is on fire? And I said, well, I think the rates are either going to go up or they're going to go down, and I'll let you guess which one is correct. Can you give us some high level? Like, I hear that the damage is between I hear 50 billion up to like 250 billion in LA. How is that a big number? It's like the largest disaster in U.S. history. How does that affect us in Oregon and throughout the rest of the country?
Yeah, no, the LA fires are very sad what's happening down there, but it's insurance company wise, like State Farm had made some decisions to be proactive down there. They're still helping out quite a bit, but
proactive in leaving?
Proactive as far as, both limiting their risk.
Not writing new policies.
Yep, limiting their risk, but then also still being able to provide value that they already had clients with down there.
So who are the insurance companies that are just going to get like wiped out from this? I heard there's like 3 main ones that...
Yeah, I won't say the names, but you can think of like State Farm essentially is about 25% of the market in the U.S. Next closest competitor is Progressive, and they're around 17%. So when you look at how small even those market shares are, all the really tiny companies that own 2 to 3%, the California fires all hurt them pretty bad.
So if you own 25% of the market, your goal is to take on less than 25% of the loss for this. You did your job correctly. Like we have market share, but we didn't take the loss.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay, so you think that probably in California it'll be really hard to get insurance, but in Oregon and Washington, how is that going to affect us?
I think it'll be company by company. State Farm treats each state separately, and so like Oregon's insurance provide insurance payers don't affect the California.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. They're on their own schedule.
Yep. Yeah. So they look at each state as being profitable or unprofitable, and then they adjust each state's rates based on that.
What do you call it? Actuarials?
Yep. The smart people that sit in.
Do you look at those?
No.
No. You never look at them?
Trevor might enjoy that, looking at the spreadsheets.
They are interesting, actually.
Yeah.
So when that's separated state by state, is all the dollars that we're paying in Oregon for insurance going into a separate fund than all the people from other states, and the money is being managed differently, or how does that work?
Yeah, good question. So it's still one fund. So like State Farm, at least, we have our mutual company and we have our standard company. And so depending on what type of policy it is, it'll get written into those companies, but it's still like that portfolio spread out.
So at least with State Farm, our rates are going to be based on what's happening in Oregon.
Correct.
So it won't be affected too much, but they may be taking some profits from Oregon to go pay for this.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You guys have other questions about insurance?
Well, I'm wondering, what do you guys do with all the money? Because the insurance company, you guys take the money and invest it, correct?
Yep.
Go pay for things.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? What
they
do you
go finance apartment deals.
No, I don't think so. You do?
They buy bonds.
Yep. Yeah,
they
it's
buy
mostly
bonds?
bonds. Yep, exactly. Yeah, so it's a lot of the bond market. Insurance is like the most stable. They want their money in the most stable assets, which tends to be bonds. They're more predictable. And so a lot of the money sits there, grows a little bit, and then, when they need it, they sell it off and use it to pay claims.
So how quick is that growing versus the amount of claims that get paid out typically? Is that something you know?
No, that's a great question.
Is it shrinking?
I don't think they advertise how much growth they have. I mean, I'm sure like even after COVID, like State Farm, I think we lost like $10 billion. We sold off some of the portfolio to pay those losses. You look at other companies, like we're a mutual company, other companies like publicly traded ones.
What's mutual mean?
Mutual it's kind of like a club, like a Costco membership. Like they only let certain people in. And so we're typically a low risk insurer, but my rates pay for your claims, your rates pay for my claims. That's how a mutual company works.
And insurance is highly regulated. So does the government limit how much profit an insurance company can make, or is there some sort of there's got to be some sort of parameters around what they can charge for insurance, right?
So the insurance commissioner sets how much you can adjust rates. The profit doesn't matter. As far as I know, they don't set a limit on profit because it's kind of hard to measure, because you could just hire more people and say you're not making a profit.
Okay.
But they limit.
Yeah, internally you can run your expense load up and show that you're not making profit.
Mm-hmm.
So then what'd you call them? The insurance?
The commissioner. So like California, you look at theirs 2 years ago, the insurance commissioner told every insurance company, no, we're not going to let you increase rates to stay profitable.
And that's why some of these insurance companies left.
Yes. So
because they said we have to raise, or we can't hit the numbers we need to hit. So they just leave that market. They have to leave. They're forced to leave.
Exactly. Yeah. So like State Farm and many other insurers basically said, hey, we're not going to write any new business. State Farm took a unique approach where they still kept everyone insured. And then they basically took about 2% of their policyholders and started to non-renew. But they gave people plenty of time before.
To go find new policies.
So did California try to subsidize the insurance then? Or how did that work? Because now the insurance companies are leaving, but people need insurance.
So they have state insurance, which is not good.
And they can't afford to pay out probably, can they?
I don't know where they're going to get the money. I mean, it's just like the government. It's like they just have debt and they'll just keep taking on more. California, basically their insurance is like actual cash value coverage, but it only covers against certain perils. So like in Oregon, you're covered against like water, fire, whatever it might be, earthquake if you have it, stuff like that. California is like, okay, we're only going to cover you if your home burns down, but then they're not going to cover theft. They're not going to cover water damage, whatever else it might be.
What's the thing, like, isn't there like an acts of God thing? So if like something out of the norm happens, then you're not covered? That's what people always talk about. No.
So act of God would be something that typically is covered because it's unpredictable and it's an event. Those items are covered.
What's not covered that people think is covered?
Where are we getting wear and tear?
Insurance.
Yeah. Most people think like anything that needs to be replaced on their home insurance should cover. So like the most common one is like their roof will go bad and have a leak, and they're like, oh, you guys will pay to replace my roof. And it's like, no, you are a homeowner. You take care of your roof, so that way insurance
if
doesn't
a tornado blows your roof off, we'll talk.
Yes, exactly.
But if you have a leak because it's an old roof, you got to put your own roof on.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, that's the biggest misconception, I'd say.
Insurance seems so boring. Do you get excited about insurance?
It's a good question. I get excited about taking care of people the right way.
Okay.
Insurance is insurance, but everyone
people
needs
need it.
Yeah.
People need it.
Mm-hmm.
You get more excited about buying real estate deals than you do insurance, or are you more excited about insurance?
Oh, probably real estate. Yeah. Yep. It's a little more risk to it. It's a little more plain. It's like playing Monopoly. That's how I kind of view real estate.
How do you insure your own buildings? Do you overinsure them or do you underinsure them?
I always overinsure them a little bit,
just
in case.
You love it.
Well, you look at the cost, and it's like, okay, I could pay an extra $2 a month and have way more coverage.
More coverage.
Yeah.
All right. Mike's falling asleep over here.
No,
Mike's the one who wanted to talk about insurance today.
Mike's just waiting for his question.
Mike, we're waiting for you to chip in.
He's been playing golf and hiking. He's got to get back in the groove here. What are you thinking about, Mike?
Well, now I'm thinking about overinsuring my property.
I always underinsure. Like, we kind of almost say we self-insure.
I want my insurance policy on closing day to be my entire purchase amount. So if it burns down, I'll get my free land. That's my goal.
Yep.
So you insure the whole thing, including the dirt.
Yeah. Well, when you buy shitty properties, you can do that. They look like they're more valuable on paper than they actually are.
Have you ever had a building burn down?
No, I did. I bought a property that had burnt, and it was vacant for 30 years, and we named the LLC Fireplex.
Oh.
Within a week of the first, and we put 150 into it. Within the first week of the tenant moving in, they burnt the porch down.
The fireplace.
Wow. You spoke it to be.
So don't name your LLCs after a fire event. But I've never had anything. I've had tenants die, but all natural causes. Nothing. No big issues.
Yep. I had that happen too, actually.
What if you, like, knob and tube wiring's a big issue? What if you tell them you don't have it and you get insurance and then there's a fire and then there is knob and tube?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Depends. Sometimes they will cover it. It depends on how the application was taken, essentially. If there's a question that says, do you have new knob and tube wiring? And you say, no, but there is, then yes, you probably might not have coverage there.
So for our listeners that are out buying buildings, we're trying to buy old value add stuff. What are the things? I know that it seems like insurance agents they're really hung up on roofs, electrical panels, and then whether or not the electrical and the plumbing has been updated. Are those the kind of the main things?
Yep. So those are the main things right now. Like talking to even my friends that are brokers, is they're saying they're having a hard time finding eligible buildings and companies that will take them, because roofs, I'm sure most of the big carriers are doing it, but there's technology now where they just look at satellite images and then AI will scan it, and if they see like a tarp or they see shingles that are a different coloration or moss, then it flags it and says we won't bind it until we have pictures or proof that it's actually a fine roof.
Interesting.
So roofs are heavily underwritten right now.
Why? Why is the roof such a big deal?
Oregon has a lot of rain, and so surprise, surprise, but that's been the number one loss reason has been water damage.
So the roof just fails and you get water in your unit?
Yeah, and usually it means if you're not maintaining your roof, you're probably not maintaining the property.
Okay.
So the people that don't maintain roofs tend to have more losses elsewhere.
And electrical panels are about starting fires probably.
Yep.
Same with all the electric. But plumbing's just about leaks. You got Galvy and it starts to leak after a while. Rusts out.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else people need to be looking at when they're looking at a building? I mean, but maybe what a good idea to do, and this would be good advice, is right now sometimes it is hard to get insurance. And I've actually had a couple of deals in our office fail at closing because insurance could not be bound on the property. So I would say call your insurance agent early on in the transaction.
Yeah, if you get an offer accepted, that's when you should send the address.
Or even when you're underwriting, and especially if you're underwriting based on their old number, there's a really good chance you're going to pay a lot more than what the current owner's paying.
Correct. Yeah, whatever line item's in there probably is not accurate.
Can a buyer sign themselves on to the seller's insurance policy?
You could. It's a little messier because you'd essentially be the additional insured, but then you don't have ownership of the policy, so you couldn't make changes. Or
could you get a new? I guess you couldn't adjust it, so that owner of that policy would have to add you. You couldn't take over the policy and add them as other insured.
No.
What would be the risk factor there that it burns down? They get the check sent to them, and you're just additionally insured. But couldn't you document out the process of that payout? And
you could, but they could still take the money and walk away. It's their policy.
Nothing to protect you from it.
Even if you become additionally insured on it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a new transaction, don't you typically, you can't leave it in place if you're not doing like a wrap or leaving existing debt, can you?
Well, I mean, that's what we're talking about right now. Could you? That's what Alex is saying. You might be able to, but it'd be tricky because you wouldn't own the policy.
Correct. Yeah. It'd be not recommended.
But couldn't you just have an attorney draft you up a doc that says if X, Y, and Z happens, you're additionally insured, you're taking all this money and you're good to go?
Yeah, but
that other insurance company may not pay out either because they'd look and see, oh, Trevor's actually the owner here, and they want the money to go to Trevor. That he's not even on our policy, and they could say, no, we're not issuing the
even
policy.
If you become additionally insured on it?
Yeah, because if they look at title and you're actually on title and whoever they're insuring isn't,
then they're like, this doesn't
yeah,
apply.
it's not even someone that's insured with us.
So if you went into the deal with somebody on like a land sale contract,
yes,
where you're both sort of on title, kind of, if you're in brackets in Marion County.
Yeah, give them 1% ownership to keep the policy.
You know, that's not so facetious with the way insurance is going. It may be needed.
Attorney.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions about insurance, or should we talk about Alex now?
You two are the ones who want to talk about insurance, so you guys better be asking the questions.
I think I asked all the questions. I mean, insurance just bores me to death. I wish we didn't have to have it. Some people.
I agree. I don't.
How do some people self-insure? I mean, we just get really high deductibles, and I don't know. Like, we try to not turn something into insurance. We very, very rarely do. Mm-hmm. So we sort of just feel like it's something we pay for that we don't take advantage of. I mean, if a building burns down or something catastrophic happens, obviously you're going to use insurance. But even if it's a $25,000-$50,000 problem, normally that's just something we pay for out of pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's usually like when I talk to investors, my recommendation is typically carry a little higher deductible because odds are you won't file a claim.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't have to. But even if it is, like your deductible's $10,000, payouts $20,000, it's like just pay the $20,000 if you file a claim. Now that goes to your next purchase, and it's tied to your LLC.
And that's eventually you're going to end up paying for it. I mean, so then we talk about loss runs. You get into loans, or you're trying to get new insurance policies, and they'll ask for your loss runs. Mm-hmm. So how many loss runs when they look at a loss run, are they looking at the type of loss? Or are they looking at the amount the loss was? Or how are they rating you based on your loss runs?
Yeah, it depends. So like even if you just have one claim and it's a $0 payout, still counts as a claim. And so that will still affect your insurance
you get
rating.
A ding on your... Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you were saying on our situation, ours wasn't going to be affected though, you thought?
Liability claims are a little different.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not like a surchargeable event typically.
Okay.
Versus like a fire happens, that's where it's like, okay, that's a filed claim due to an event.
I see. Okay. So with the loss runs and all that, you said it goes with the LLC. Let's say you create a new LLC. Does it go with the borrower still, or does it just attach to the LLC?
So the hard part about doing a new LLC is that LLC has no insurance history. So now you're going to have trouble being eligible because you don't have experience in ownership of like multifamily with that LLC. So that's another big issue that most insurance companies are having with people that have new LLCs or like people just getting into investing. It's hard to qualify them because they have no experience. So most insurance
but sometimes we'll open up a new LLC for every property.
But it's same ownership.
So
typically.
they're looking at us, not that new.
They
LLC.
look at the owner of the the LLC. So if it's same ownership, then you can use a different LLC that has same ownership.
But they're still going to want to know your loss runs for your other buildings.
Exactly, because they'll pull it. Yeah, they'll look at it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to move on because Trevor, you just keep asking all these insurance questions. We want
Sorry.
to talk about Alex.
The thing I like to talk the most about with Alex is how he grows his business, because he's using VAs and doing all this stuff too, like what we're doing. We can talk about that, or you can talk about deals. But I want Mike to talk, because Mike just looks bored.
No, that'd be a great thing to talk about. Running insurance questions put me to sleep. I thought we were going to start with Alex personally, and
that's where we were going. Dude, or we can go there, or we can go business.
Well, you started with insurance, and then you put me to sleep.
You're the one who wanted to talk insurance.
Well, it's just an excuse to get Alex on. That's really
well, we could just talk deals. All right, we'll cut that part out. And
I want to know a business owner with a supplemental business into the real estate industry. So, how are you running your business to keep it efficient, and then how are you using that, because it is supplemental to real estate, to help you be a better investor and more effective in what you do as an investor?
Yeah. So the insurance side, I'm been fortunate enough to be able to watch my dad grow his business and see how he modeled it. So I worked for him for a number of years and kind of learned loud enough.
A little closer.
But learned kind of the intricacies of running the business. And so that helped a lot. But now it's just figuring out, okay, how do we continue scaling it? And so like I have a service team that takes care of all the in-book activities, the day-to-day. And then we have a sales team that's helping out with all the production of new policies and adding people to our book of business.
So I like it because he made a machine now where he has all these people doing these specific things. So now there's continual flow, which you can do with like any product or service.
I always wonder if you actually read the emails I send, and I know he does, because he randomly responds to the one thing out of like 10 emails. I send stupid emails first to begin with, and he never responds. All of a sudden, oh, he is paying attention.
I read them all.
Do you?
I read them all.
Okay.
I just know which ones I should handle and which ones I'm not the best person.
He's a good leader.
Try to be. Yeah. It's a learning. I mean, you guys all manage people. It's like you just have to learn how to communicate. And I know Trevor's word of the year is empathy. Was that right? Is that what he's...
Shout out to Alex Ferry, Deal Junkies, #1 fan.
Yeah.
You listen?
I do listen.
I think it was
Great
emotional
podcast.
intelligence.
Oh, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Dude, I have a whole action plan for that I created on ChatGPT.
I heard. I listened to our episodes too, dude.
No, it's outside of that. I'll tell you later.
You can't use robotic means to become a human being.
Yeah, you can't, because
you have to become a human through your heart.
Yeah, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, the goal is to increase EQ. How do I do that? So then I was like, okay, like what?
Well, first off, no human being says I need to increase EQ.
Yeah.
So there's the first thing you can do is not say that ever again.
An evolved and emotionally intelligent human says I need to increase.
This is not about Trevor. This is about Alex. I want to know, is Alex Ferry, Ted Ferry, is this you guys are one company, or is this two companies?
Good question.
He's taking his dad down, dude.
No, he's still the big dog in town. He's been doing this a while, but so we're two separate companies. So technically I have my agency, my dad has his agency, he actually has a second agency as well, so we have 3 agencies.
And do you share any staff?
Yeah, so our service team, our customer service team, I guess it'd kind of be like a real estate side, how you guys probably share transaction coordinators and the processing team and stuff like that. So we share the service side where it's
so some of your admin is so you each pay them. They're on both payrolls.
No, so like we still keep them separate, and we just try to allocate based on the growth we had prior year, and then
so you pay for 40% of them, he pays for 60%.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
How did you modernize it? What did you do to change the way he did it to how you're doing it now?
So we did it when I was working for him, actually. We took a course from a successful agent back in Chicago, and that kind of gave us the vision of like, oh, we could set up our agency this way. Mm-hmm. And so we started to implement it to where we split out sales, we split out service. We have 2 really groups of people. And then when I opened my agency, it made it really easy to just add service,
almost like
his sales, my sales.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Well, the biggest thing is lead gen, right? Like that's the whole thing. Like you just have to get more leads.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about doing that? Because you're doing more business than everyone else. So I think anyone running a business can take away from what you're doing. And we learn a lot from Alex too, as I ask you questions. But like, how are you actually generating these leads to do the amount of business you're doing?
Yeah, lead gen, like that's kind of my role, is just how can I bring as many leads as possible to my sales team. And so I look at people like Gabe, a marketing master in Salem, people like my dad, just people that are really good at marketing. And I put dollars and energy there, knowing that business comes from it, but it's hard to calculate that. Like you wrap a car, it's like, I don't know who actually
Very
sees
hard,
the Jeep. Yeah. But as far as like the calculated ones, like I view referral partnerships as kind of the biggest way that I can impact it, where I build relationships, find out where people have issues or bottlenecks with insurance, and then provide a solution for that.
Okay, so do you have a few funnels that you're generating leads through? So it sounds like referrals partners. So that's agents and lenders, right? Basically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they're sending you referrals. You provide good service. They send you more.
Yep.
And then you got like guerrilla marketing that you can't really track, but you're just blasting out there.
Yeah.
What else? Or are those the two main things you're doing?
So those two, social media, I capitalize on quite a bit. So using Instagram, Facebook, YouTube,
Are you posting
Google.
like information on insurance, or how are you?
I just post. So I just do whatever I did for the day. I just do a reel or post, and then I cross-post it on everything.
And then people come to you for insurance because they just see you out there and know you do insurance?
In theory, I hope so. Hope
Are you able
it
to
works.
track, like-
So I track like how many views and if I'm impacting non-followers versus followers, and that's usually how I'm.
Do you
just
have
hoping.
a link on your page that gives them a free something or other that's valuable for?
The only real actionable item I can do is offering a free quote, but no, I don't have something like that.
There's nothing else free you could offer people that's of value that helps them?
I mean, yeah, information. I ask you, what's free that I could offer value in?
I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, insurance is a little different because it's the service, obviously, but yeah, there's
It's
not.
the networking. You can be a connector.
Yeah.
You know a lot of people.
Yeah, so like that's how I usually connect with referral partners is figuring out, hey, I know you. Who do you know that you think I could help? And then hopefully it's just creating that network and circle of people.
You're really involved in our community.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of things. Is that just, do you have certain things that are dear to your heart, or do you do a lot of just networking events? I see all the chamber stuff, and
Yeah.
is that helpful? Does it drive business for you?
That's also one it's hard to measure. The community side, I think I just enjoy. I've born and raised in Salem and won't ever leave, and so I view it as a way that I can stay connected and figure out, okay, what's actually happening in Salem? How can I help? What are areas that I can maybe plug someone else in? But I think I just enjoy that aspect of it, kind of being in the know of what's happening.
Didn't you win an award for like influential young leaders in Salem or something?
Oh, not an award, but yeah, I help
30
out with
or-
that 20 to 40-year-old group and help lead that group.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw you on a magazine cover somewhere. or
Yes,
something.
yeah, I was a speaker at one of the luncheons.
Okay.
Yes,
All
yeah.
right. But you're out doing good things.
Trying to, yeah.
Yeah. Big name in our community. All right.
I was wondering how you use VAs too, because last time I talked to you was like 2 months ago on that.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to implement it. Has that been working, and what have you found?
Yeah, so I started to use them because the local guy that I was using to help out with cold calls, he was just coming in part-time, took a new career to work full-time somewhere, and so I was like, okay, well, either I could hire the same or test out VAs and see how it goes. And so I've been using them for cold calling, and it's a little hard to get through the scripts and figure out what's too much information for them to ask for versus what's like not enough information. And so I'm still tweaking it. It's only been, I think I started it November or so. So it's not enough time to really measure it out yet.
Okay.
Are there pretty black and white rules in the insurance industry, like with real estate, where there are things they just can't talk about?
Yeah, because they're not licensed.
Right.
And so they can't talk about coverage, insurance. It's really just lead gen is kind of how I view it.
Can you ask them what they're paying now and if they'd like a quote, or what? Like, how does that work?
Ours is mostly like like appointment scheduling. I know that's what Dane does
Just set
too.
appointments.
Where it's just like, hey, we're reaching out to people in your area looking to see if we can help out with insurance. Can we get you on the calendar? Pretty like top level, not going into any detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine quite a few people say yes.
It depends. I think it depends on how my particular VA approaches the conversation at the beginning. They're not very good at building rapport and just opening a conversation. It's like they just kind of go to the question.
Did you pick a VA from a place where they speak English? Like they,
Mhm.
or they have a heavy accent?
So it was a podcast you did with Jan, and so I think he said Egypt, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I went. So I just went to is it Upwork? Yep,
yeah.
I went to Upwork, clicked Egypt, and then
Did you get to interview some of them?
yeah, I interviewed about 8 or 9 of them
on a phone call or Zoom call.
So
or
it's cool when they message you. You just click video call and just say, "Hey, can you do a call for 2 minutes?" And I just talk to them, ask them questions, and then I'm like, "Okay, your English isn't good." Like
you just get to hear how they put a sentence together.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it.
And that was the primary focus, was to find somebody who could put an English sentence together without too much accent.
Yep, yeah. And so I finally found a guy, and just talking to him, I was like, okay, yeah, let's try it out, see how it goes. And I mean, it's still hard to measure. I need to figure out, I'll probably do it 6 months and then look at how many leads we've gotten, what's the conversion rate, is it worth covering that VA?
How do you know he's actually working if he's in Egypt? Like, does he send you a call sheet every day? Or?
Yep. So they send a report, shows how many leads they called, what the conversion rate of their leads were, and then I see in my system how many leads came over.
Have you ever thought about hopping on the phone yourself to see what your conversion rate is versus theirs?
I mean, I already did that.
I bet it was a lot higher.
It is higher, yeah. So mine's higher for sure, but I can give them lists of thousands of people.
What's your goal for conversion rate?
Within our team, like when we do cold calls locally from the office, it's about 10% just getting the information for a quote, and as far as closing the business, it's 3 to 5%.
So you try to get 10% to set an appointment.
Yep.
And then of those, a third of them you try to close. Or
Yep.
more,
Yep.
or half
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So
All right.
basically 1 in 20 people we're probably closing that we talk to.
So combined, the Ted and Alex Ferry teams, how many people are involved in this organization?
Yeah, I think we have 26 people right now.
Total.
Okay.
Dang.
Yeah. Yep.
And then just the one VA so far.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm kind of just playing around with it, seeing how it goes, and if it goes well, then maybe we'll expand that more, because that would be easier to implement than buying. I mean, you guys have like internet leads in your industry too, but insurance, they're not they're not fruitful.
They are worthless.
Absolutely worthless.
Absolutely worthless.
So
And expensive.
How big are you trying to expand your insurance agency? Are you trying to go as big as possible and be make millions of dollars, or you just want to slowly grow, or what are you trying to do?
Yeah, my goal, I have a pretty big vision for it to become as big as possible, and I've started to, I'm right now within State Farm top 5% in the company. My goal is to be top 100, and then
Top 100 people?
Mm-hmm.
How many people are in?
20,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and so being in that percentage of group where I can kind of network with them and kind of get more insight on how to expand it and grow it. But I really want to use insurance as my vehicle for real estate. So that's where I kind of use it and see it fitting into my big picture.
Can you get a list of all the insurance claims and start buying the house?
I was just going to ask that same question.
Probably, but not with State Farm as a whole. But that's the hard part is I only insure so many, such a percentage. Yeah. So, yeah.
But it's all right. You just make enough money and enough relationships.
Yes.
Buy real estate off referral.
Yep.
Okay, so you're doing this insurance thing. When did you start buying real estate, and why?
So my story starts similar to where most people's does, with Rich Dad Poor Dad. So back in 2018, my wife and I had been married 2 years, was playing around with budget, and I was like, man, it'd be nice to start planning ahead and thinking how I can retire Hannah. And so that came from reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, changed my mindset just around money and how I viewed it. And it was funny because I was actually comparing a student loan that I had and buying a duplex. And I was like, okay, well, which one's better? Should I pay off the loan or buy a duplex? And then running that calculation, it was okay, I could save, I think it was $300 a month if I pay the student loan off, or I can make $600 a month by buying a duplex. And so I was like, why wouldn't I buy a duplex? And so started asking people hey, what do you think about real estate, how it works? Most of the people in my life told me not to do it. They were it's high risk, low reward. And I was like, yeah, but the numbers work. And in theory, it should be fine.
And they didn't own any rentals, probably.
Correct. Or they got burned by 08 and they were just oh yeah, don't put money into real estate. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, don't take advice from people that don't have what you want.
Okay. So you started house hacking those deals then, or?
Yep. So first one, we moved 3 years into marriage in 2019, bought a duplex, lived in one house, rented out the other house. And like the first night was like, dang, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? What did I do to my family? Because it wasn't like the nicest part of town, but I was like, but the numbers work. And so that was just what I kept telling myself as I was falling asleep. I was like, I ran the numbers. I feel good about them. And then 3 months into it, I was like, oh, you can make money with real estate. Like, why doesn't everyone do this? And so then I just started saving for the next one. And
why doesn't everyone do this?
Because people tell them not to do it.
Yeah.
So what'd your wife think? What did Hannah think?
She's been great. She just kind of trusts me with that side of things. She doesn't know real estate. She doesn't know the finances of our household too much, but she's just like, hey, I trust you. You haven't screwed up yet. Let's keep doing it. So
this is one of the keys to being successful in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Is not having if your spouse was the one telling you we're not doing it. Most wives, especially with a young family, are not going to go move into one unit in a duplex in a shady part of town or whatever. Like they're going to go, you go do whatever you want, but I'm not living there.
Yeah.
So to have a wife that goes along for the plan is everybody else told you don't do it. As long as she doesn't tell you don't do it, you're all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been really cool because we've both been in unity with every place we've purchased and looked into, and I really appreciate her insight as far as like how we can turn a like dumpy house into a home. And
so she's involved in your real estate business.
Yes, side. Yeah. So she's involved as far as like, hey, what's the vision for this house? How long will we be there?
You live in them all. You keep moving around, or
so I have not lived in all of them. I've bought 4 homes that we have not lived in, but then the rest of them we have.
And you have 11 houses, you said?
11 units.
11 units,
2 commercial spaces, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what, do you live in a Plex today, or you live in your own?
No, so right now we live in a home out South Salem on 3 acres, and so our vision's always been to buy property and build a home, and so we figured this will be a short-term solution, but it's still a 5 to 10 year home that likely will, like, I haven't played in the development space at all, but I think there'd be a good development opportunity there.
Build some apartments there, not a dream home.
No, yeah, I won't build a home there. No, okay. This is to see.
He's got a big piece of land he picked up, dude. He got covered land play. Mike, you would love this deal. Tell him about the deal.
Yeah.
What's the zoning? What can you do?
So it's county, but it's surrounded by city property.
Okay.
So
you can annex it?
Yeah, eventually. So the city offered to annex it, but they tripled my taxes. Yeah, and so I was like, no, I'm okay. And so, yeah, bought it, county property, 3 acres. And then there's opportunity there. Like there's a studio on site that I could upgrade and rent out. There's a shop that I can rent out, trailer parking, whatever. Because we don't need the whole space, but it's more to figure out, okay, do we like 3 acres? Is 3 acres too much? Is it too little? We don't know. And so
you get to test out being a mini farmer.
Yes, before building a home on 10 acres, and it's like, oh, I hate property. And then it's like
hobby farmer. You get to test a hobby farmer.
I would love to have a cow.
Yeah. How close is like sewer and water and all that?
So sewer hookups are there. I know. It's beautiful, but I'm not hooked up to them.
Right.
Yep. And so I'm on a well septic. The only thing that's hooked up through city is the PGE electric.
And this is already divided, right, into multiple lots?
So it is 2 lots. One lot is 2 acres. The other one's 1.
And is your house on the 2 or the 1?
The 2.
Okay.
So yeah, the 1 I could technically split off, build a house, and sell it or whatever.
Yeah, or you could annex it in, and then you can put 13 apartment units on that. Right? Yeah.
Probably.
I think.
Yeah, the previous owner had already flattened it in preparation to, I think, build a house and kind of have a family commune set up. Then they moved to like Ohio and took their family there.
Yeah. Okay.
So the land is pretty flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what was attractive. Is it would be easy to, from a outsider's perspective, it'd be easy to develop.
So to me, you seem like you're pretty calculated. Have you always been calculated your whole life?
Yes. Yeah, my dad said I woke up and my eyebrows were furrowed thinking right out the gate. So yeah,
you were born just like I was born
pondering.
Thinking.
Yeah,
Similar to Trevor.
Yeah, are you a spreadsheet guy?
I am. I love math.
You love math.
I do.
So you're a robot too. This is why you and Trevor.
Alex
are
is
friends.
more of a robot than me, dude. You've met Alex?
I think
I
Alex
would agree with that.
Alex has better EQ than you do, Trevor.
He has fake EQ, man.
Whoa.
Yes,
Whoa.
yes, book EQ.
I think that's why Trevor and I got along so well, is because we were like very in line, where it's like, yeah, we'll hang out, but like, we don't need to talk about our feelings. Like, let's just work out, run, talk real estate.
Beep boop beep boop.
Yeah. Hey,
man.
it's the perfect friendship, okay?
So are you guys still friends today?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
wow.
Alex came when I was running 100 miles and hit like 10 miles with me.
Yeah.
Did some marathons together.
This is,
Yeah.
this is a beautiful story. Okay, so who told you to read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No one. I just was like, I was doing some Bigger Pocket stuff and kind of heard it, and then
What made you think to listen to Bigger Pockets?
I just was interested in real estate.
What
Like
made-
from a
what-
young age, I had
something made-
always
something
looked
made
at
you-
real estate, and I was like, man, that'd be kind of cool. And like as I got into working for my dad and the insurance side, I was like starting to look at wealthy people that I was writing, and I was like, oh, like all the wealthy people have real estate. Like maybe I should look into that. And so that's kind of what triggered the interest in it. So then I started to just find resources.
So you
on
like
it.
money. You're like, how can I get some money? The people with money have buildings.
It was more
I
the
should-
wealth side of it. Like money, like I don't care about stuff or money. Like that doesn't.
You want the freedom that comes with it.
No,
I think it's the game. I like the game.
Oh,
like I don't.
Monopoly.
Yeah, I don't.
Monopoly.
I don't like money is money. Yeah, you need it to live and have it for resources. But yeah, I just like playing the game.
What's your favorite part of the game?
Winning the game.
So
I hate to lose. So
do you like a deal better while you're doing the deal or after you close the deal?
for me, it's usually after, actually. Like doing the deal is just part of the process. After is like, oh, I won, check.
So you're
Move on
excited.
to the next
You
one.
think about your 11 units regularly and what's going on there and how to maximize them?
No.
Or are you thinking about your next deal?
You play
Think about the next one. Yeah. Once it's checked off, I move on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How do you handle operations? Does Hannah do this for you, or do you do your own management?
No, so I do my own management, and then I kind of have a system that a process as far as just adding in all the data for rents and expenses.
Does that
and all
take a lot of time and
No.
energy?
No.
All right.
People make you're in management, but I feel like people make management harder than it is.
Sure.
I'm a very process and systems oriented guy. So that's how I built out insurance. And so I did the same thing with real estate. Is like when I have a vacant unit, I have a process system, list it, screen tenants the same way, exact like every time, and then place them and sign lease and move on.
You do your own turns?
Mm-hmm.
You work on the buildings yourself?
Oh, no, not anymore. I used to.
You hire
I
people
used
to do
to.
it?
Yes. Yeah. Now I have people that I would much rather pay them to do it myself.
Is that your helicopter landing on the roof?
Yeah, it should be here in a few minutes. No.
Did your dad buy deals?
So back in the day, he was one of the people that was cautionary with real estate. I think he had a bad taste in his mouth from some investments in the past, and then I finally convinced him to buy a deal with me, and so,
Nice.
but he did it.
How'd you call him out? You say, Dad.
You're like, Dad, I spent $60,000 and I cash flow $60,000.
That doesn't
$1 million.
That doesn't
Like,
work.
We should do this.
No, that doesn't work.
He didn't care.
No, he'll do things his own way no matter what I say. I think he did it more just out of, okay, we'll try it with this little amount of money and see how it goes.
So he's very risk averse.
Very much so.
And you would say you're not?
Yeah, correct.
Well, he's also older than you.
Yes, older, wiser, but he also, it's just generational piece. I think he grew up a farmer, and so that piece of it, when they had to move off the family farm and sell it, I think that still sticks with him and how he makes decisions. And so he's very well planned for the future, just taking care of himself and family and everything, but just from a different approach.
All right.
Yeah.
So what? I'm trying to figure out houses. You got any partners or just him in that one deal?
Just him on the one deal. Yeah.
And are you dreaming of bigger buildings, or are you still looking at houses and duplexes?
It's a great question. I think I'm at a standstill trying to figure out where I want to go. So Trevor needs to actually talk to me more.
What's your bigger
Dude, yeah,
vision?
this
Yeah.
other...
Or is Mike going to coach me? Is he going to coach me here?
What's your bigger, is it, you're focused right now? Are you going to put more effort into your insurance business or into real estate acquisition? Is it 50-50?
He's a robot. He's going to do both.
Yeah.
It's probably 80% insurance, 20% real estate.
Okay. And then with that 20%, what are you doing right now? You just bought something recently, right?
Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm adding efficiencies to how I manage my
That's
properties.
so fucking boring.
He's an insurance guy. He's
So
got to be boring.
But if they're efficient and perfected,
There's
I can-
value. I didn't say it's not
Yeah.
valuable.
It is
I said
boring.
It's boring.
yeah.
What are you doing to acquire something new, and what do you want to acquire? What's the next piece of real estate you acquire?
I'd probably like to, like, I am still actively looking, I guess, at the 2 to 4 unit and even partnering with someone owner occupant. I have 3 or 4 friends that are open to it. And so it's finding something that fits their criteria.
Then the house hack. They're the house.
Use
hacker.
them as the house hacker. Yep. And then partner with them on it. That's probably what's next, at least.
I
in
wonder
my
who's
future.
listening that would just be really. Oh, you already have partners. Okay.
Yeah, you should
I have
hop
a
on a
couple.
call.
Why isn't Sabrina found him something yet?
Because Alex won't hop on the call with me so
Are
we
you
can build him a
serious?
plan.
No,
You need
he
to bring-
never-
He's just
No, no,
like,
no,
hey,
forget
let's
it.
do some deals. I'm like, all right, let's figure out what you want to do. Here's the link. And then he no-showed us.
Bypass Alex.
No
Bypass
showed us.
Alex.
No, you canceled the appointment.
No.
Yeah, you did. Don't even.
Out.
Send
He
the
just
link,
called
dude.
you out. Bypass Alex. Send a link to the 3 to 4 friends and
Yeah,
get
skip
them
over
excited.
me. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk. You could do, because that last deal we did with you, like, you could do so many of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Those things are ever. He bought this deal with.
What'd you do?
Do we want to dive into deals right now? Yeah, let's do it.
We can't.
Cool
You can
deal.
give us a high level and we can come back and do deals later. But
He just bought a deal, highly leveraged, that he got to do some value add on with not that much money, and it cash flows for you or
Yep.
breaks you.
How do you buy a house in cash flow? I don't
How do
understand.
you advise someone to do a highly leveraged real estate deal?
Because
Is there any other way to do it?
No.
he, yeah, because
I mean, yeah.
he did value add on these houses, right? So he bought these little bit of a junkers. He could go in.
Yeah.
We could structure in a way where that worked for the seller, worked for Alex. He could get into it with minimal money, do the rehab, and now he did the value add. So now you can increase rents and cool.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I love about your story is you're balancing your now money and your tomorrow money. So you're not out buying a house to clean it up and flip it and make money. That's what a lot of people your age are thinking to do because they don't have the income coming in. But you're building a business to create your cash flow. And at the same time, you're over here slowly, gradually building up your portfolio to some point where it'll take care of you and you can decide whether or not you want to keep doing the insurance or not.
Yeah. Yep. And I view like the homes that we've had, I don't care about the cash flow necessarily anymore. I just look at equity. It's like, okay, if they're paying down my equity $1,000 a month, like that's a free $1,000 a
Principal buy down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going up in value theoretically.
Yes.
Your loan's going down. You may not be putting a ton of money in your pocket, but you got another building that somebody else is paying off for.
Yeah.
Sounds like a guy with a really low return on equity.
Yeah.
Well,
We-
eventually I'll refi and use it elsewhere.
Or we'll trade a few of those buildings into an apartment complex.
Yes.
We
correct.
were looking at he was going to trade some of them into the storage complex maybe and go
That's
into
right.
commercial.
And then Trevor
Storage.
backed out of the call, so it didn't.
Once you get into commercial, you're never going to go back to these houses
Yeah.
and small plexes.
Yeah, and
Liar.
that's what I. Wow,
Liar.
Okay, never mind.
Once we get Mike out of houses, he's never going to go back either.
Liar.
Well, Alex, so you said you like winning the game. You got to beat Gabe, so you got to buy more real estate than
Oh,
Gabe.
he's so young. He's only 31 years
Yeah, I got time. But yes, that's the plan. So I know that for me, Mike thinks it's boring, but my process, it will be a slow burn. But I know that once the snowball's rolling, it'll pick up pretty quick.
I didn't say it was going to be a slow burn. I didn't say that.
He said it's going to be
You
boring.
said it'd be boring.
Okay, so like, your goal is to get that systems up and running so you can acquire more, and then like, are you gonna like just try to house hack with people? Or are you gonna like try to raise money, or what are you gonna try to do to acquire more? And how big do you want to go? You want to own like $10 million, $30 million? What do you want to own?
As many as possible. I think it'll.
There's an unlimited amount to own.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't think I have not put like a goal or number or ceiling or floor out there for myself. I just know I want to own real estate and it's fun, and so I'll keep doing it as long as it's fun.
What do you like least about real estate? When do you have a bad day in real estate? What happens to you when you're like, oh man, should I really be doing this?
He doesn't. They only come on the insurance side.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably accurate. I mean, I haven't, like, I've had some rough experiences with real estate. I've been sued, had a tenant die, had to deal with some hard circumstances, but I don't think I've ever had a day where it's been like, oh, real estate sucks.
You've never had to write a big check and just go like,
I mean, I've had to write a few, but I view them as like education, and it's like, okay, I'll pay my college expense.
You're investing.
I'll pay my dues.
If you have that mindset, you will never have a bad day.
Ever.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yeah.
You win or learn. That's it.
Like, I'd say there's days that are more stressful than others, but
Do you get stressed by the real estate yet?
not yet. No.
And you don't lay in bed
But-
wondering what's going on at your buildings or if
How he built it up,
Not
though, is
anymore.
he has such
Now that he
strong
sleeps
cash
in the
flow on his
country.
portfolio that he's like well covered, right? So he's not doing like
not super stressed out about.
no, like how he built it was slow growth over like because you've been investing 8 years now, 7 at
less
least.
than that since 2019, so 6 years.
6 years, yeah. So I mean, he's been doing it slowly over time to build that up.
6
and
years
win
is pretty
season.
fast though.
It is.
Yeah.
10 grand a year.
Well-
That's big to grow that much.
I think so.
But Alex is like, it's the perfect example of what anyone can do. Like you were doing a deal a year to start.
No,
Yep.
you have to be a robot. You have to be half robot.
And you have to have the income to qualify to go buy the first house, right? Or the
Well,
Dude, you
second
make
house,
50 grand and you're good to go.
Once
Robots
you
tell
get
their
there,
dads
yeah.
that they don't know what they're talking about, and they go and buy real estate.
I did it in a nice way. I said, well, I'm going to try it out anyway.
You're the
I'm gonna
guy.
try it out.
Have you done anything mean in your life?
I was immature in my college years and high school years.
Sure.
I'm sure I was mean at times, but
Alex is mean all the time.
I'm trying to make up for it. I try
you,
to be nice.
Hey, did you ever tell your dad to read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No, maybe I should.
You should.
But he hates reading books, so
Audiobook.
he won't
listen
read
to
it. He won't listen to it.
There's got to be a better book out
He will I need to find like 5 to 10 pages that he'll enjoy. If I tell him 5 to 10 pages.
Wait. Will he
he'll
listen
read
to
it.
this podcast?
Probably not.
Wow.
Ted, if you're listening right now, read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Ted, that's
There you
the
go.
reason I didn't
That's
say
the
hi
call.
to you in the Fred Meyer
Wait.
parking lot, even though I knew you were Ted Ferry.
Are you college educated?
Yes.
Was that because your parents wanted you to, or because you wanted it?
I wanted to play basketball.
It was for sports.
Yeah.
What was
So,
what'd you get a degree in?
I went to Shemeketa, transferred to Corbin, did my MBA at Corbin actually, but only because I had extra eligibility for basketball. So
you're
business administration and management.
So you have an MBA.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Do you use it? Was it helpful?
Yes and no. I think
I think it's more helpful than you might give it credit, honestly.
yeah, it's more networking
Yeah.
and how to navigate life. It wasn't
So
like I would say you could work in the industry you're going to be in and learn from someone really good at what they're doing, probably the same information.
so it wasn't worth it.
If
Yeah.
you get the opportunity to work in a business where somebody's going to teach you business,
Yes,
like I
like,
did. It's
but you could go work for someone for free for 2 years and probably
You
get
can-
more value
You can learn how to run a business whether someone's teaching you or not, just by being in it.
and doing it,
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
mistakes.
I like to say my uncle taught me what not to do. Like I didn't really felt like he taught me things, but I watched how not to
Yeah.
do things.
Yeah.
Well, how you do it is you actually have systems and a plan for growth, and like most people that sell insurance are just winging it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
There's not.
That's how I
Yeah.
would do it.
A lot of insurance, probably no, but a lot of insurance agents they'll talk about like the whirlwind of the day, and it's just like it just gets away from you
Because they don't have a service team and a sales team. And
It's just them.
Yeah.
right?
not that
Aren't most people
most
one off?
most agents are 1 to 2, 3 people sometimes.
They're
Yeah.
agents. They're not business owners.
this
correct.
reminds me. Have you read 7 Habits?
Yep. Yeah.
So like the quadrants.
Mhm.
I think most agents, brokers, anybody get hung up in that urgent but not important box.
Yep.
And it's like I'm dealing. It's easy to want to fall into. Oh, I've got a bunch of busy work I need to take care of because that's the easy stuff. It's important and I could take care of it really quick. It sounds like you've done a great job of passing those other quadrants off so that you're focused on the stuff that's not urgent. That's super important. Those are and you're the right guy for it. You're the visionary for your team because you like to contemplate things.
Yeah.
You sit and calculate ideas. You think you're young and you think, hey, I should sit down and think about my future and I should plan. Like not a lot of people sit down and engineer a plan for their future self. They just kind of go day by day and try to make it. I think that's a really important part of your story is what you're doing right now was intentional. None of this landed in your lap.
Yeah.
You made it happen.
Yep. Yeah. Goal
impressive.
setting. Yeah.
Well, you run on EOS too, right?
In a different format, not like by the book, but yeah,
Similar.
to an extent. My dad had pretty much been doing that, and so
What was the best part of your day? Let's carry this rock over here.
5-minute warm up.
Carry the Egyptian rock over here and get us a new lead, Alex, so we can get some more insurance.
Oh, Jesus. Do you have a executive assistant to keep you out of the urgent and important?
I have two, one on the sales side, one on the service
Are
side.
they in their local people?
Yep.
I finally am listening to Buy Back Your Time. And now my next kick is getting an EA, remote EA, just for my calendar and my email, just to keep me out of that.
Yeah, you need that.
Fix. I do. Email fucks me up. The task switching that creates between, especially because Messenger goes to my computer, so I got Messenger and email, and I'm task switching like crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm going to become you. I'm going to be a computer guy. I'm
Computer.
going to be robotic.
Turn Mike into a robot.
Oh.
So what's an EA? Executive assistant. You're going to hire an executive assistant?
Yeah, specifically just for my email and my calendar.
How do you allow somebody to respond to your email? They respond
You
as
train
if
them
they're-
over time. Yeah, that's what I'm excited about doing. I might even look into the new Chat GPT version and see if I can have them do it. But just someone to, because right now it's my dumping ground for a to-do box, and my theory is if I forget it and it's just in my 50,000 emails, then someone will email me again.
I couldn't live like that.
Or people have my phone number and they'll text me. So that's kind of my level of urgency and importance. But because of that, it creates distraction. So I need to get rid of that. And I think having someone that organizes my inbox and my calendar that can now take the distraction and the task switching, I can do a better job of being efficient. So I think I've created a level of life where I lack efficiency because I have too much gaps. Yeah, not fun.
So what are you going to do with the time you save?
Be more efficient.
With what?
You said efficiency is boring.
Like you're going to go find deals?
I did
You're
say
going to go...
efficiency is boring. Yeah. It'll get me better into my dollar producing activities. So right now I just waste a lot of time. So taking that waste out and then allowing me to just be I think I can be a significantly better leader and operator if I spend a little bit more time in those parts of...
Everybody keeps telling me to hire an assistant. I'm like... I mean, first off, everybody does everything for me anyway, so I don't know what I need an assistant for. But I'm zero inbox guy, and I run my life out
Me
of
too.
email, and I just can't trust anybody to. I mean, I try to manage my inbox as best as I can, but literally, like it used to be every day it had to be zero inbox. Now I try to do it by Friday, but I don't know what to do with myself if I don't have an inbox.
That sounds really fucking stressful.
Yeah, so the assistant would be like, there's a lot of stuff in there that you don't need to deal with. So like send in your driver's license photos, send in this or sending
Oh
that.
yeah, I got.
So there's all
But
that
I got
stuff.
you for that, and Sean and other people. I mean, I got so many.
No,
people.
there's-
I think I have 10 executive assistants.
And the way I actually think that it'll help me out in my personal life a little bit more because I tend to neglect things in my personal life.
Yeah, you don't show up to poker night ever, dude.
I don't show up to poker life.
Is this going to be a VA that you hire?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, a remote, but someone trained.
So you
to
give
be
them all your
executive.
financials, you give them all your copies
It
of
depends.
everything.
That would be the goal.
For me, I mean, I need somebody that just responds to banks all day long.
Yeah. So
For
that's
loans we're doing,
Yeah.
refis, acquisition.
They could do that.
Every loan I have, they ask me for shit every single year.
Yes.
And it's like, it's nonstop.
Yes.
They're just asking for stuff. So I try to pass it off to my wife. I try to pass it off to
and they would
Trevor,
appreciate
try
you
to
if you
pass it
just
off.
paid someone $8 an hour that was
And
competent. They could
I'm
do
like,
that.
I'm organized to the point I need to be organized, but I'm not organized to the point where I can just, like Paul Curley can just open up a folder and be like, "Brr, here's the 18 things you need. I
Yep.
just don't. He's been doing it so long, it's second nature. I'm starting to get better at it.
What I'm excited about is if I can do it and I can learn it and then I can convince Eric the value in it, that's where I see a whole different world for us. And actually, I just had someone reach out organically. I offered a project management role to, where he can run everything from a construction management standpoint, which frees up a crap ton of time for Eric, which then allows me to leverage him in a completely different manner. So if I can organize my day so I can be a better delegator to Eric, and Eric is offload a crap ton where he can now be a better delegator to what his team is, I just see that's the next growth for our company.
What do you pay these people? It's like your typical $5 an hour, $10 an hour.
That my expectation is like $8 to $9 an hour for a remote VA. The project manager's local. They're it's skilled. They come from
I need
Intel.
like the highest level, smartest VA you can
Yeah,
get. What
and you can get for $12-$14 an hour. Like you can get
top level?
Yeah, remember like Bob Thomas and he's got a
Yeah.
freaking architect on
Yeah,
on
$10 an hour.
yeah.
Draws his plans.
Yeah, and that's what I'll do. So with the project manager, now he can leverage remote VAs. So he can have in-house design and in-house entitlement and permitting and all that. It will save us a crap ton of money. Yeah, I look at that as my biggest expense right now is not having someone be efficient there.
All this talk about Trevor's the engineer mind,
As boring
and
as it sounds.
So boring.
it is
Man,
boring.
This is so boring,
Like,
Mike.
But you kind of get all turned on when you think about it. Like,
building systems to me is like the most boring part of all this. This is what Trevor.
this isn't building systems, though. This is just org chart planning. This is visioning. And-
building your team.
Yeah, exactly. That's completely different.
And $10 an hour with no health insurance is like a pretty cheap way to build your team if you can get legit people
Yeah, yeah.
and trust.
But you can hire people from the East Coast for that. Like they can be U.S. people, not
Oh, that are
Egypt.
just in lower cost living. Yeah.
That's, I mean, when I was looking at Upwork, I was like, oh, there's people in North Dakota that will take
I'm
$10
excited.
an hour.
Actually. Look, I've never looked at that.
Yeah.
And
we should
I'm
hire a
excited.
girl from Georgia to call on our cold call, like a Southern Belle. You know, I don't want to get a call from India. I want to get a call from like a sweet young
Hey,
girl
Mr.
with
Smith, we see you own these properties over
yeah,
here.
you got it. You got
you
it.
having any problems with your tenants? I saw
Okay.
your name on
All right.
that eviction list.
Mark this. This is an idea.
Mike would
Trevor.
answer
Write
that
it-
call.
write it down. All right, Alex. What else do you want to share with us before we end this episode? What's your biggest piece of advice you can give to people that are your age or younger that are looking to get into real estate?
Use your resources, whether it's people around you. I mean, there's books that people take their lifetime of knowledge that write it down for you to take advantage of. Podcasts. Deal Junkies helps me because it does actually help keep my mindset on real estate, because I think I could pretty easily just move on with life, focus on insurance more. But this helps me keep like, oh yeah, I do need to buy more deals.
We're drawing you back in to the game.
It's a little hit. It just keeps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a drum beat almost. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it's making sure your whatever chemical it is in those veins.
He's a
Yep.
Deal Junkie fanboy.
Yeah.
I am big fan. Listen to Deal Junkies.
Does
That's
that mean
my
we get a
advice.
piece of your next real estate deal?
I don't know. Do you want to be?
Yeah, let's do a deal together. Actually,
All
you
right.
reached out to me to do a deal.
I did.
I ignored you.
Yep, that's okay. Trevor does that too. So
Oh,
Gabe never ignores me. I don't think he's
I've never
ever.
ignored
I
you
never
one
ignore.
time.
As a matter of fact, I was in Maui once, and Alex was there, and I took the time to go meet him, take him out to dinner, take his family out. We had a great night in Maui together. It was
That was really fun, actually. Yeah, let's do it again.
I'm gonna start talking like Trump. Everything is beautiful. It was a beautiful night.
It's amazing how that guy can talk for an hour and not say anything. Holy.
He's mastered it.
You mean politician? Isn't that just
Yeah,
the
but
definition?
He takes it to a whole nother level because he's salesman and politician and business owner.
Yeah.
And silver, like a whole nother level of like training and
He's reached
experience. Yeah.
the pinnacle.
Dude, does anyone have a better resume than that guy?
Nope. That's as good as it
depends on
gets.
how you think about the resume.
That's true.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll stop getting political.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Alex, thanks for being on the show with us today. It's really fun. We're going to come back and do a follow-up episode. We're going to talk about some actual deals with Alex because we are deal junkies after all. But we sure appreciate the wisdom you shared with us today, and it's impressive to hear what you're doing in your business and
Thank
your
you.
life and your portfolio. You are a exemplary young man. It's cool to watch what you're doing. So. Thanks for doing it. Thanks for being a big part of our community as well.
Yep.
It's nice. So, Alex Ferry, State Farm, if somebody is interested in getting insurance quotes rather than calling your VA, how could they reach you?
Email me or call me.
What's your email address?
alex@ferryinsurance.us.
Ferry
Yes.
insurance.
Like the boat, not the Tinkerbell.
ferryinsurance.us.
Yep.
Alex.
They can find you on social media.
Yeah, Instagram, Alex Ferry. I'll take messages. Or Ferry Insurance is also Instagram.
All right, go. You guys need insurance? You got questions about insurance? Go see Alex. Thanks for listening, Deal Junkies. We will see you next time.